Hello and welcome. So this is not entirely a tutorial, but unlike my previous not a tutorial, this one isn't actually about stuff that's gone wrong or gone badly. What I've going to be focusing on with this and what I've put together is because obviously I do a lot of AI development. A lot of my tutorials are about AI. It's something that an area that I've loved for a long time. And one of the things that I find with that it has been a bit of a constraint with some of those videos is I hit a point with them where I want to start off and show some really cool stuff, but there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be there for it. And that makes things complicated then when, if someone's wanting to come in and dive straight into behavior trees, and it's a project that's got a huge amount of infrastructure there. And so, yes, there are other videos that they could look at for it, but they might not want to. That might not be an area of interest, and they might want to just focus on the behavior side of things. So what I've done, and I think this should make things easier for folks diving into those videos and also for me being able to just dive quicker into more complex AI topics, is I've put together an AI test bed. So the idea behind the AI test bed is I have a base AI that has a lot of functionality there on it that can be shared regardless of what type of AI I'm working on for it. So having some core test scenes, some core built-in functionality in the AI, just to make life a lot easier. Not actually even just a little bit easier, actually a lot easier. So let's take a look at what I've got. So how I've structured this, and I will, in the description, there are 2 links that I will put there. One link is to the Unity project version of this that you can just open and directly work with. The other is a package version. So the package version is one that you can go and add via Package Manager, and when I do updates to it, you'll be able to grab those updates from it. So the idea is that when I'm doing some AI videos in future, it's likely to be a case of, cool, first step, we import this package. Now that we've got this, here's where we go from there. So I've got a few different scenes to begin with. So one of the ones which we've seen in a lot of the videos is this sim style AI. So our basic AI already has a humanoid mesh. And if we take a look at it, it already has some, and I'll just collapse a bunch of these things. So it's using the sort of custom steering implementation. So it uses the NavMesh agent for finding a path, but then uses our custom approach for actually doing the movement. Then the actual character has the ability to look at things. So I've shown this in another video of how to implement this. But in this case, I just have it built in, and I've done a little bit of merging of functionality as well, just so we can easily sort of see different ones. So if I give it a debug look target, and I'll turn these 2 on, so it just immediately should look at that cube. And then I can move that cube around. So with the slow turning, all of that is working nicely. So that side of the functionality is working. I also have supported in here, because this does have sensors, so it has a full awareness system set up for it. And I can turn on the debug of those sensor bounds. So we've got our inner one that is for proximity, we've got our hearing range, and we've got our vision range. So it has all of those built in. That same AI is available in, if we go to the RTS style project. So this is one where I've used this for the microlithic gope. So with this one, I have support for all of these different resource sources. I have support for these different resource containers. And there's a lot of essentially things to block line of sight. So you can test behaviors there that are very tied into sensors. I've got stuff here in terms of being able to keep track of smart objects, a basic sort of Blackboard implementation, as well as sides for the hearing. So those managers are available in everything. And we could easily bring our AI into this, and they won't do anything beyond looking, and we can have them move around. So if I actually grab my AI and bring that in here, which it's going to be hitting on the invisible geometry that I have there to allow the player to walk around. So I can bring them there, and then what I will do is I will set their movement target, which we've got this navigation one here. I am going to give them a target in the world. So we'll create a cube, again, bring that down to the ground. And if I set that as their movement target, we'll use that move target. And I can have them run. And you can see they'll head towards this. And I can just move this around and they will move following their path. So we've got that basic setup for this one, and the other scene that I've got is a specifically more a first-person one, which is this, but all the resources are removed. This one's kind of intended for sort of more combat-style scenarios. So this one, if I bring the game view up here, this one does have a full character controller. It's got the latest version, so it's got that all set up so we can be moving around in that level. So that's sort of the core things with the testbed, is that it has our support for being able to move around, has our support for being able to have AI characters that have full meshes that can look at things. So I did a lot of merging of the logic into particular things. So a simple AI character has it's based on this base AI one, which if we take a look at base AI, it's just I brought everything for looking at targets over into this. I brought all the sensor stuff over into this, and I've set up a lot of these debug options as well. I'm going to actually turn off that raw look direction. Don't really want that on by default. And it's got all of our accesses for things like eye location. This did get updated. So we've got the head is being used for where the eye is located and where they're looking. So provides us sort of that pretty good setup for being able to have an AI that has a lot of functionality out of the box. It can detect things, and there are events that it kicks off and functions that get called here. So it has an awareness system that is geared towards being able to support stealth gameplay, but could work in other regards. So the idea behind this is things like hearing build up at a fairly slow rate and just build up suspicion. And then once something is above a certain level, then we consider it detected. And then it continues to build up until it hits fully detected. If we see something, because that gives us more precise information, it immediately will start out at that detected, but isn't it fully detected? So we kind of have this range of 0 to fully detected, and in between has suspicious and then detected. So that tends to sort of work well. We've got stuff for, if they've become suspicious, that doesn't have target because we don't have that information. But that would allow us to, it might start looking around more. It might make a vocalization. And then we have, as soon as something is detected enough, we actually get that information. So that gives us that those sort of setups there. All of the looking stuff is all built in. All of the support for the animation happens. So being able to make the character play its walk cycle, all of that is set up. You would be able to throw in pretty much any other humanoid mesh as long as it follows Unity's standard setup for a humanoid mesh. You should be able to just go and replace this mesh here. You might need to obviously change out the particular animations. So the animation controller is referring to particular animations in its blend tree here. So you would need to likely swap out some of these different ones, but that's okay. Anything that is following that default humanoid structure in Unity there is going to be able to be brought in. So other Mixamo models will definitely work. So it should make it easy for bringing in a character and having them look the way that you want. Same for these smart objects. They're following same setup, exactly same setup that I used in The Sims, where they do have, if we take a look at the TV, for example, the TV does have a few aspects to it. So it does have a look at marker, it does have an interaction marker. So all of those things are fully supported. Essentially all of that smart object side and the ability to have different interactions, I've brought that in here as well. So if you wanted to make something that was a Sim-style game, really you'd be able to just bring this in and layer in the behaviors. So should provide a really good test bed for if you're wanting to experiment with AI stuff. Now, there are more things that I am going to be adding to this. So I'm working on a larger AI set of things at the moment. And as I'm working on those, I'm almost certainly going to find additional things that I want to add into this. One of the big high priority things is trying to get some good generic debugging tools in. So that's something where that's a big focus for me. So once I've got those implemented, those will get added in. But if there's additional functionality that you would like to see in this, then please mention that in a comment below. Because my goal with this is that this gives you a really, really good starting point for working on any AI behaviors, and you can just focus on those behaviors. What I might also end up doing, because you can set up different sort of sample projects, I might end up also doing things like, okay, well, here's a sample that you add in that adds behavior trees into this, or here's a sample that adds in a version of GOP to this, or that adds in the Sims AI. So that's quite a likely thing that I might add in those as little sort of samples that you can bring in. We'll see how that sort of goes, if it fits nicely, but I think it actually will. So that's something I would like to be supporting there. And it should give us a really solid basis. I do want to, there is a fourth type of scene that I want to add, because these are all very simple environments in terms of their flat planes, their clear lines of sight, things like that. I do want to add in a version that is using a terrain and that has them moving on the terrain and has resources scattered throughout the terrain. That just adds in another level of sort of complexity and a different scenario there to test. So that's something that is absolutely on my list to be adding. It's likely going to be a case of what I will do is I'll take aspects from the RTS series that I'm building and bring those across into this. So as I set those up, this will continue to be added to. But do shout out if there are additional bits of functionality you've thought of that you would like to see in this, and dive on in and experiment with it. Remember, there is 2 repository links in the description. One is the Unity project version, where you can grab that and then you can actually load up the scenes exactly like I've done here. The other link, and it will have a hash symbol and UPM at the end of it. that one is the one that you can add into Package Manager. So in Package Manager, we can go here, and under the plus, there is Add Package from Git URL. So that second URL that I put in the description that has #UPM at the end of it, when you go to Add Package from Git URL, that's what you would add in here. So 2 different links there, serve 2 different purposes. Just keep that in mind depending upon what you're trying to be looking at. Generally, how I'll be approaching it is the main branch, so this Unity project version, will be the one that I update first. Then once I'm happy with those updates, I'll bring those across to the UPM branch, update the version, provide sort of change descriptions, things like of that there. But dive in and experiment with it. Experiment with the Unity project, experiment with the package, see what kinds of things there you can create, what kind of things you might want to also have added to it as well. Thanks, folks. Hope you found the video interesting and helpful. So this is obviously a video focused on here is a package that's now available for you. If there are other things from other videos that I've built where you look at it and it's a case of that would be really handy if I could have that as a package I could bring into my project, then please do let me know in the comments. It's something where it's not too much work for me to do package versions of things. So in particular, if it's something where, okay, this is a very standalone component that I could import, that's something where those are pretty straightforward for me to make packages and have those sitting in parallel. So if you do have things you want turned into a package from other videos, other tutorials that I've done, please do let me know, and just chuck those in a comment below. If you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I do have a Patreon, and there is a link to that in the description as well. But until next time,